Quadruple, we can't hear you. Can't hear you.
It should be done now.
They didn't want you to hear what I was saying.
Okay, now we can. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, everybody. People online and people at Tushita. Nice to be back here again. It's very welcome, cool space with lots of bright lights and shining statues and yeah, and old friends. That's the main thing. And some little young friends from Mumbai as well. So, and lots of people online whom we know. So thank you. So today we'll keep the session to an hour and a half. Otherwise, several things begin to happen. Some people start getting very uncomfortable and falling asleep, and my auntie at home starts frantically calling to check when I'm coming home for dinner. So you see, these things have to be avoided. And it's also good for me to learn to say what I have to say in an hour and a quarter or whatever. After all, some of you may know that if you were to go to a psychiatrist or at least a psychotherapist in the West, I don't know what it's like in India, you get just under an hour, you know. Of course, you pay a lot as well, but you get less than an hour with that person. So I think an hour and a quarter, an hour and 20 minutes, total an hour and a half will be good. Do we have a clock? Is there a clock at Tushita? There used to be a little one. Thank you. Okay, so let's start with some quiet sitting for a minute or so, where we can begin to bring our mind back here in case it had wandered. We can just be very relaxed, but also awake. So relaxed, awake, sense of spaciousness. If your body is upright, that could be good. Help to keep us alert and awake. But the sense of being relaxed is actually quite important. We're not here to create even more stress than we already have in our lives. And gently bring your awareness to your breathing. And a sense of just relaxing, letting go with your out-breath. And we can together generate a sense of gratitude among all of the different thoughts and feelings and ideas and concepts that have been circling in our minds today. And of course, for many days, weeks, months, years, it's good to, I think, generate a thought and a feeling connected with the gratitude of still being alive, for example, being a human being in a fortunate situation, not one of the many in this world who are either hungry or in a situation of conflict, war, refugees, those suffering the dramatic suffering effects of climate crisis, those who are undergoing heavy diseases. Right now, all of us, I think, here online and here at Tushita, we're not going through that. We still have this precious human life. I'm sure all of us have people who, of course, all of us have had people who cared for us since we were born or took care of us. And some of us, I hope all of us still have one or two people in our life who are caring for us, who are concerned about our situation, who take care, who are affectionate towards us. So this is something to be extremely grateful for, really. And we can forget this easily because our minds can get upset at very small things. And we can forget how much other people really do care for us and love us and want us to be happy and are doing what they can actually to create causes for happiness for us. Having said that, we also have to realize, as Lord Buddha said, that really, ultimately, we are our own master. Our happiness is very much in our own hands. We can't keep on blaming other people or the weather or the governments for all of our problems. It's our responsibility to understand ourselves, understand our minds, and understand how we can, through the way we think and speak and act, create the causes for happiness, lasting happiness. So anyway, we can rejoice at our situation right now. This brief interlude in the very bursting agenda of our lives, where we can recollect a few, I hope, very useful pointers based on the teachings of Lord Buddha, which have been carried down, which have been passed on continuously for 2,500 years without a break, and which we can also benefit from. So, of course, as ever, I am most grateful to my kind teachers who have guided me and whose teachings I have benefited me for many years, many decades. And I'm also grateful to the spiritual community, friends with whom one has practiced and lived with for many years. And of course, grateful for the precious teachings themselves, the actual medicine we take to cure the pain of the deluded mind. So we had a long title for today's talk. I think I probably thought it up in a bit of a hurry, but I think it's okay. We had been looking at the 6 perfections of the Bodhisattva, and then I realized that, as ever, we're a long way, most of us, at least I am, from beginning to, practice those 6 perfections. What we need is to prepare for them. So preparing to go beyond, we have called this talk. Go beyond because 6 perfections in the Sanskrit is paramita, going beyond ordinary activity, the ordinary giving, ordinary effort, and so forth. So we have to prepare for that. We can't just jump into it. That's just not possible at all. We are not ready for that. So we said preparing to go beyond, compassion, wisdom, fuel for the Bodhisattva warrior's journey. Sorry, a long title. So Bodhisattva warrior, that is someone who has taken huge responsibility on their shoulders, thinking, I'm going to not only help myself, but I'm going to help as many people as I can. In fact, I will, if I can, help everybody. I'm responsible for leading others to awakening out of their pain, like a good shepherd who cares for every single animal in their flock and will not go to sleep at night until all of the animals have safely been brought back to their corral, to their resting place. The shepherd will not go home until every single animal has been accounted for and is safe. So in that sense, a bodhisattva is a very unusual kind of person who has generated an extraordinary responsibility. In fact, we might say that that person really has stopped primarily thinking about themselves first. Strange as it sounds, that person is not so caught up all the time is in, thoughts like, when will I be happy? When am I going to get what I want? Why isn't this person being nice to me? Blah, blah, blah. The bodhisattva isn't engaged in that kind of thinking anymore. The bodhisattva is quite naturally and joyfully working for the benefit of others, spontaneously, not self-consciously, not thinking, oh, I am doing this, aren't I a good person, So just spontaneously, that's what they do, like a sun, the sun shines. So the bodhisattva also just does what they do quite naturally. So obviously, one is not there yet, right? We have to prepare for that kind of attitude, I think, for that kind of real activity in the world. So all the teachings I think you have been receiving from Venerable Samten, they were on the 4 thoughts that turn our mind to the Dharma, right? So she's very qualified to talk about that, because she's someone who gave up the ordinary sort of glittering life of a film star, saw the suffering involved in that, and then decided to embrace the life of investigation, and to the extent where she also then did 3 years of retreat, as you know, actually a little more, I think, than 3 years. So I hope people have been able to hear her talks and to benefit from that. So of course, we always need to remember those 4 meditations that turn the mind towards the Dharma, have the potential to make us think more and more about authentic practice, which of course is a necessary preparation for going beyond. So the thought of the precious human life, thought of death and impermanence, reflecting on that, reflecting on the actions and their consequences, that whatever we do or say or think has a consequence, whether we know it or not, and we can profoundly affect ourselves and others through what we are thinking, what we are saying, what we are doing with our bodies. We profoundly affect ourselves and others, not only for now, but also for the future. And then to reflect on the shortcomings of samsara, the shortcomings of this cycle that we are in, according to Lord Buddha, of unending dissatisfaction based on our ignorance, based on our craving, wanting, hungry mind. So those four reflections are extraordinarily essential. And for example, just to take death and impermanence, the Buddha said that was like the footprint of the elephant in the jungle. That's the biggest footprint in the jungle. So this reflection on death and impermanence is the really the most important meditation to remind us that we're not going to be here for long. I was recently at some meetings of our international organization in Kathmandu, and I met a friend whom I was at university with 50 years ago, and I hadn't seen him for 45 years. And I didn't recognize him at all, and he barely recognized me. And I just thought, 45 years, you know, in another 45 years, we're certainly not going to be in this particular body. And the change was remarkable. There was still something in his voice I could recognize, but otherwise everything had changed. And of course, every cell in our body had changed. So these reflections are very important, and we often, I know I often take them for granted that, oh, I've heard that before hundreds of times. But if we really reflect on them, we'll probably find ourselves feeling quite sobered, and motivated to practice a little bit harder than we are now. Okay, so I wanted to go through a few points since time is short, and there will be more sessions, I hope. Maybe, let's see how it works out, but there can be some regular sessions, whether I'm in Delhi or not. One can join people from Bodhgaya, where I work most of the time. So I wanted to look at briefly at several things today. The 8 worldly feelings a little bit again, our old friends, the 8 worldly dharmas, and look at them. And then there are some excerpts from teachings of Lama Zopa Rinpoche on that, and then from also from some other teachers. And when I was just talking about the sufferings of samsara, I was remembering one of these teachers. They had mentioned that one of the very great lamas of the late 19th century, Jamgyan Kontrul Rodothaye, late 19th and early 20th century, I believe. He said that, you know, if we still in our mind have that feeling that there must be a tiny corner of ordinary life, of samsaric existence, where, you know, we could lead a very happy and perfect life, where there wouldn't be any suffering. If we still have that thought in our mind that there are some aspects of ordinary life, and here by ordinary life we mean a life basically driven by illusion, driven by mistaken mind, then which creates us to be angry and grasping and jealous and so forth. If we still think that this kind of existence, there must be a tiny corner of it where I will be happy, then it's not going to be possible for us to lead a genuinely spiritual life. There is no corner of samsara which is going to save us. Nobody can save us from the dissatisfaction and relentless sort of sorrow of samsara. There is no easy way to fix samsara. It's just not going to happen. So we have to really take to heart that reflection on the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence without allowing it to make us desperately unhappy or in a state of total dismay. Yeah, निराशा में नहीं पड़ना ये सब सुन करके कि संसार में एक भी कोना नहीं है जहां खुशी मिलेगा. Nirasha mein nahi padna hai. We mustn't fall into despair hearing this. Yeah, that is very important. Okay. So, the 8 worldly feelings, we know about them. Yeah, to be caught up in wanting gain, wanting pleasure, wanting a good reputation, wanting praise, and being desperately, desperately trying to avoid their opposite, which is loss, any kind of loss, any kind of pain, any kind of, bad reputation, and any kind of disturbing words or, criticism that we may hear. We are desperately searching for the 4 good things which we feel are outside us. If we can get these things, we feel we could live a happy life. If we have gain, have plenty of money and resources and so forth, if we have, pleasure, lots of pleasure, no pain, many pleasurable circumstances, good friends who give us pleasure and so forth. If people praise us, then we'll be even more happy. If we have a good reputation, then we will be happy, But what we forget is, of course, that with all of these things, they change very, very quickly. Have you had that experience where pleasure turns quickly into something else, where the person whom you hoped would be your friend and was, behaving like your friend, turned into something else, changed into something else? We may be praised by some people, but then we have to also put up with some people criticizing us, for whatever reason. People often praise me, which is has problems of its own, of course. But this year I had very good experience. Well, later I felt it was very good. At the time I didn't feel it was very good. But I had the experience of being criticized very, very powerfully by somebody, who couldn't see anything right in what I was doing. And one saw how painful that can be when one is criticized. Being praised is also painful because one often realizes that the praise is undeserved, right? So that's one thing. But then to be criticized, it's not easy, to be criticized very, very clearly and openly, and not in the public, of course. Wasn't in the front pages of the Times of India, but this criticism was in front of enough people to be disturbing. So one sees how much one depends on people thinking well about us. We want people to feel well about us, to feel good, to praise us. And of course, we want good things to come to us. We don't want negative things to come to us. We don't want to be cheated. We don't want to be criticized. We don't want our reputation to be disturbed, a good reputation. Even if it means covering up a lot of, hypocrisies, we want our reputation to be intact. So if we are concerned with all these things, which we are, I am, so then this is not the good preparation for going beyond. For the going beyond activities of the Bodhisattva, which is based on compassion, this is not the way to be preparing. It's like you want to prepare a good meal for your guests, but you're getting it all wrong. You have the wrong ingredients, or second-hand or third-grade ingredients, or they've expired, so there's no way you're going to cook the meal that you wanted to, prepare for your good friends. It just becomes a complete chaos, becomes a mess, becomes a total disaster, actually. So in that way, we have to prepare our minds so carefully and watch so closely the operation of the 8 worldly feelings in our life: pleasure and pain, gain and loss, yeah, good reputation, bad reputation, praise and blame, you know. And the pain and pleasure and pain is a very interesting one, which pervades all of our life. It can make us very upset when things aren't just right, when we don't have the level of comfort we want, when the warm water heater in the winter is not warming the water to our satisfaction, you know, or is not working at all, or if in the hot weather the AC is not working very well, or the fan, or whatever, or the mattress is not quite right, or you know, whatever, that makes us quite upset, and it can disturb us profoundly. Or if the train is late, or if the person in the 3AC is snoring, you know, it's already late, the train is late, you get on the train, and then you're looking forward to some sleep, and maybe, you know, it's 11:30 or 12 o'clock, well past one's bedtime, and one of the people there is snoring loudly, you know, and the attendant hasn't taken the old sheets and blankets off of the berth that you have reserved, you know, and is maybe they're asleep too. And the pani ka bottle bhi nahi aaya abhi tak. So, you know, all these little things. And then, of course, one has lots of reasons to get angry. Arey, this is all, you know, what's happening with Indian Railways? Ye Rajdhani hai, ye nahi hai, wo nahi hai. You know, of course, you can't complain to Indian Rail that the person is snoring, but certainly one can get very upset about these things. And so that kind of craving for comfort, you see, for pleasure, one feels that if you've been waiting for a train and it's late, you deserve to have a very restful journey, you know, back to Delhi or whatever, but you don't get that. And so it's deeply upsetting. Or if there's one mosquito which is disturbing you, then that's very upsetting. You know? So this is not the Bodhisattva attitude. We're not saying Bodhisattvas are just inviting pain or wanting to be, always have difficult circumstances. Maybe some of them do, the very powerful, courageous ones. But, we're not saying we should invite misfortune into our life. But when it happens, what does it do to our minds? This is the question. So the 8 worldly dharmas are a very, very powerful teaching to consider. And if you're interested in them, to go further, there's a book which, of course, you should open with care, because once you start reading, you might find it in some ways rather discouraging and a bit of an insult to your ego, to our egos, by Lama Zopa Rinpoche. Yeah, he has that ability to teach the Dharma in a way that goes straight to the selfish, self-cherishing attitude, and reminds us of what is really the Dharma, the teaching, and what is our own mistaken practice, our own worldly attitude. So what does he say in his very powerful book, How to Practice Dharma? He says, in relation to the 8 worldly dharmas, in which there's one chapter is devoted to that. In fact, the whole book, in some way, you could say, is a commentary on the 8 worldly feelings and how it dominates us. He says that we really believe, that these 4 desirable objects are happiness. So pleasure and gain and good reputation and praise. We really believe that that is happiness. Whereas in fact, it isn't, you know. It's changeable. It's just leading to more and more craving in the mind. It's making our mind more and more full of attachment, you know. He says, people don't recognize that the opposite of bad reputation and unhappiness and discomfort, that's also suffering, you know. Receiving material things, having comfort and happiness, having a good reputation, being praised. Without checking up, we meet a desirable object and we call that pleasure. We say we're happy. We don't see that our mind is actually uptight. It's an uptight mind. It's beginning to depend on that. It wants it. It wants it very badly. there's craving in the mind for that. So that is just going to lead to disappointment at some point or other. It's just making our mind like the mind of an addict, he says, which is just craving for pleasure, craving for desirable objects, you know. An addict never thinks she can be happy without her drugs. We feel we need external objects to be happy. We can't see that there's another way. But if we read the biographies of great practitioners like Milarepa, we can see how their minds attain great peace, stability, and happiness by giving up these 8 worldly feelings, by being attached to them. Their qualities only increased, they didn't decrease. So this is the real peace. This is the root of the great inner peace, nirvana. It starts from this fundamental step of renouncing the 8 worldly feelings. What is pure Dharma? At another point, he asks, what is pure Dharma? Of course, if we were to have an interactive session, which we can have, let's do that. So what, in a nutshell, is let's say, pure Dharma? What is pure Dharma, would you say, in a nutshell? I don't want to embarrass you in front of your father, Apurvaji, but what would you say is what is pure Dharma?
That which can sustain lasting happiness.
Okay. Lasting happiness, what? Just of, like, how long is lasting?
Many lifetimes.
Lifetime. Oh, you believe in future lives?
Yes.
Yeah. It's said that this can be useful, can be very useful for the Bodhisattva attitude to feel, yeah, lifetimes. Okay. So happiness that lasts for a lifetime. Could we say Dharma is like medicine also? So if it's a medicine, what is it opposing? What is it a medicine for? What does it cure?
For dissatisfaction and samsara.
Okay, and put it another way, what is it actually an antidote towards?
Ignorance.
Ignorance and? Yeah, good. Ignorance, the delusions, right? Ignorance, anger, attachment, jealousy, pride, the dissatisfaction when things aren't working out the way you want, when you get out of the aeroplane after having been in a very cool place and you find it's 36 or 37 degrees, then just being okay with that, not getting uptight about that. So Dharma, to quote Rinpoche in this book, and of course there's different ways to talk about it, but this is very clear. Dharma, he says, pure Dharma is any action that is a remedy for or an antidote to the delusions. Basically, practicing Dharma benefits future lives, unlike the meaningless activities of this life, which might possibly bring some temporary happiness, but nothing more. Achieving the happiness of this life is nothing special. It seems special, but he's saying it's nothing special. Even animals and insects as tiny as ants can try to do that. So if we never do more than that, we're no more special than an insect. See, this is what I say, this kind of book, don't open it if you want some light, nice reading, which is massaging our, which is giving food for our desire, This is a book where you feel, okay, let's invite the punches, let my ego be disturbed for a while, If we're willing to have that happen to us, then one can open books like this. But otherwise, you can read, I don't know, Chetan Bhagat or something else, whatever. No matter how expert in our field we are, without practicing Dharma, we can't fulfill our human potential, especially that of this perfect human rebirth. And what is the special purpose of having a perfect human rebirth? Let me ask some of the old students here. What is the special purpose of having a precious human rebirth? Or I could put it to people online, but then sometimes that takes a while. Sorry, I'm neglecting the people online, not even looking at you. But actually, some of you I can't see because you don't want to be looked at. So, main kya karun? Yeah, you. Only one brave person is showing their face. Thank you very much, Ishar. Yes, okay, 2 people. ठीक है? Yeah, and those of you who are just drinking coffee and enjoying while listening to this, well, क्या बोलूं? ठीक है, I've done it myself. Some of you aren't even there, I know. क्या करें? So the special purpose of having a human life, what is it? Anyone? Vishad bhai, what's the special purpose of having a human life?
There are many purposes for these special
But what is the main ones?
Couple that comes to my mind is 2 purposes
Acha.
that probably now the best talking about. One is to achieve nirvana, to achieve liberation, and then second could be to benefit as many people as possible.
So yeah, okay, pretty good. That's a pass. Yeah. Let's say happiness, according to Rinpoche, happiness of future lives, liberation, and enlightenment. So 3 things. And of course, we have to be benefiting others to achieve full enlightenment. So that's the purpose of having this life. Something we can do because we can create the causes of those results every second of our life. So this is a favorite thing of Rinpoche's. He used to say, this human life is precious because every second we can do something. Every second we can be creating the cause for unhappiness or for one of these 3 things: future happiness, present happiness, future nirvana, or full enlightenment. And one other very, very meaningful, pregnant phrase, quote from Rinpoche, which we have up, I think, in our dining room in Bodhgaya. It's either the dining room or in one of our outside on one of the buildings. It says, think that the person in front of you is fulfilling all your wishes. So what does this mean? Say someone you don't like is in front of you, or someone you're having a problem with at that time, or a snake or some creature you don't like is in front of you. How on earth can we say how can we think that they are fulfilling all our wishes? What do you think? What do you think Rinpoche means by that statement? Think that the person in front of you or any being is fulfilling all your wishes. Ye kaise ho sakta hai? Anybody? Yes.
I can try, Kabir Ji, unless
Please,
somebody
Vishal
wants to
bhai.
go online. There are 3 types of people. We have friends, we have close friends, neutral people, and the so-called enemies.
Okay.
Friends and family, it's quite straightforward. They're there to support us and help us. So if they are sitting in front of us, they're helping us in those ways, by being with us, by being there for us when we need them. There could be neutral beings sitting in front of us. There could be this person who's a carpenter who's helping me in those ways, right? Any neutral being in that ways is somehow beneficial, right? And if it's a difficult person sitting in front of me, then they're helping me realize that they're sort of reminding me that I still have a lot to learn. I still have to practice patience and generosity and all of those things to get where I want to be.
How could they help us? Say that our purpose is to be fully awakened or to be like a bodhisattva. How can the person in front of us help us fulfill all those wishes? That is that's what we have to look at. So your answer is good. So it's basically saying that independence upon anybody in front of you, you can generate different kinds of feelings and thoughts. If you generate the feeling, the thought, this person, I must help this person, I must help them to, get enlightened. How to do that? I have to develop the compassion and the bodhisattva activity so that I can become an awakened person and help this person become enlightened. So therefore, I cannot give up on this person, whoever they are. I have to help this person. I can't say I'm not going to help them because I don't like them or they've been unkind to me. So I have to generate the thought that I am going to benefit this person, whoever they are, whatever they've done. So on that basis, one is creating the cause to become a fully awakened person, because we are generating compassion and that very powerful thought, independence on that person. We're not saying, okay, you're a neutral person, I don't really care for you so much. Oh, you're a friend, I'm going to help you. And of course, generating aversion towards the enemy. We're not doing that. We are generating the awakened attitude, independence on that person. And the other thing which I found useful, Rinpoche would say, is that the reason why we depend on every single sentient being for our enlightenment, in other words, the reason why every single ant and lizard and scorpion and human and politician is important is because if we were to reject even one of them, saying, I don't care for you, about you, then we cannot, achieve full awakening. We can't achieve bodhicitta. We can't achieve the fully developed compassionate mind of bodhicitta. If we give up even on one person, we have to include everybody, So in that sense, Rinpoche seems to be saying that everybody you meet is so important, because in dependence on that person, you can attain enlightenment. If you give up on that person, no way you can achieve lasting happiness and compassion and enlightenment. No way. So this is how our attitude has to really change. And for that also we have to develop an attitude where we stop feeling sorry for ourselves, which comes from this uptight attitude of why am I not getting what I want out of life, and developing a sort of a grudge against the world for not giving us what we feel we deserve, And this comes from this uptight mind, which is always thinking of me and mine, always. My happiness, my comfort, my pleasure, my pain, my praise, my blame, whatever, all the time focused on that. And it's very natural. It's something natural that we do. So through reflection, through hearing teachings, especially those teachings which show us the shortcomings of that attitude of grasping onto oneself and the benefits of working for others, of caring for others, if we really receive those teachings and reflect on them, that can help us to change our attitude. Because right now we think that grasping at things for ourselves, working for ourselves, for me, and getting more things for me, which I can then call mine, right now we may think that this actually is a major cause of happiness. Whereas in fact it's not. It just creates more problems, more fear, more anxiety, more tension. This is the thing. We've all met people perhaps who don't want anything from us. They are just naturally relaxed, calm, and affectionate maybe. They exude a sense of being spacious and just warm and kind. They don't want anything from us, They're just cool and sort of calm and sort of kind. They're not uptight. Otherwise, we're all kind of uptight. We're all desperately trying to get something. One teacher put it very wonderfully last year. This young, very wonderful teacher said that we're like little children who are desperately seeking for comfort and crumbs of love and care from people. We're just desperately looking for these things all the time. We're very hungry in our mind. We are, desperately seeking for approval, for praise, for some kindness and comfort from others. It's not bad to want kindness and comfort for others, but we have this very grasping, very sort of greedy attitude towards it sometimes. And we're not willing perhaps to also give what is necessary to to others. We are wanting, and there's the anxiety of wanting, which means we're anxious. Will I get what I want? And when I get it, will it last? There's this anxiety, always centering around me, my wants. How long will they last? Will I get them? Will I otherwise, in their place get suffering? How will I cope with that? Me, all the time. Me. And mine, of course. And all these problems, if you think about it, all the problems which arise from that. Think of all the problems in this world arising from people who think their ideas are the most important, and people should agree to their ideas. My idea is this, my idea, my opinion, And of course, if you're a powerful person, that can be very, very dangerous and create a lot of suffering for others. When you hold on to something which you feel should be done, it's my idea, my opinion, I think it's good for me or my country. So this is happening a lot in the world, right? And it always has been happening. Yeah, so teachings are saying, the preliminary teachings are saying, all the blame doesn't lie on anything outside of you, basically. The main blame should always be directed towards one's own selfish, self-cherishing attitude. Cherishing oneself always. That is the troublemaker. That makes us uptight, that makes us angry, jealous, grasping, competitive, and then makes us depressed when we don't get what we want. So the main troublemaker is that. And of course, at some point, because the subtitle of this talk is Compassion, Wisdom together, compassion, wisdom, fuel for the Bodhisattva warrior's journey. Yeah, so the wisdom, we have to then also begin to develop that understanding that this I and this me and this mine that we keep on talking about are like a rainbow, like an illusion, like a dream. We're holding on to something very strongly, which if we were to investigate, we would not find. We're sitting here, we're listening. Why do we say, I am listening? I am sitting. I'm listening to this. I am bored. I am hungry. I'm whatever. Why do we say those things? We say it because at that point, part of our body-mind complex is doing something or feeling something. We say I'm sitting because the body is sitting. So it's okay to say I'm sitting. But on top of I am sitting, we feel there's some real independent I inside me that is sitting. Or some independent I, some strong sense of I who is getting bored or getting tired or getting upset or getting excited or whatever it is. So those teachings have to be looked at side by side with all of these other teachings on the compassion side of the path. We have to see how what we believe in, the appearances, and the appearance of this I or me based on the body-mind complex, we have to see how that is cheating us. That is actually a wrong understanding. That is a hallucination. There is no real, independent, inherent, solid, permanent, unitary kind of I or me or mine. Everything is much more impermanent and spacious and much more relaxed, you could say, than that. We are not seeing clearly. And when we don't see clearly, we have accidents, in life. We make mistakes. We create more suffering. So we have to see how this absorption in I and me and mine is not going to go away until we also have to begin to investigate, who am I? Who really am I? What is this I? This feeling we have. And we can begin to investigate it, especially in difficult situations, when we are feeling upset. We are feeling the pressure of the eight worldly feelings and how they're making us feel very uncomfortable, So that when I was criticized, it gave me a good opportunity to look at the Kabir who was being criticized. quite apart from any practical matters involved. Practical, I mean, because some of the things that that person was saying were correct. They were correct, one could see. It's just the way it was being said and the the attitude one felt and the extent to which it was being said seemed unreasonable to me. But a lot of what was being said, or some of it at least, was correct. But it brought up this I. How dare they say this kind of thing to me, who has been working so hard? How dare they say that? And so the I comes up. When will that person see that I didn't do that? I didn't say that. I'm not like that. Because we always want the other person, say someone is criticizing us, we often want to be able to tell them why they're wrong, right? That's a very big part of it, especially in a conversation. You want to tell the person why they are wrong. And so then it's very frustrating for the ego when that person is not listening, when you feel they're not listening to your reasoning. So this is a wonderful occasion to watch one's own ego, one's own I feeling come up strongly, wishing to be, and then you wish to be supported by others. You wish people to be on your side, to take your side against the person or people who are criticizing you. So all of that is a wonderful occasion to see how much we are caught up in I and me and what I've done. How dare they blame me for something, in this unreasonable way, etc., etc. So later, of course, maybe not at that moment, but to my credit, I have to say, and here I am engaging in a bit of self-congratulation, I was able to see how this person had been very useful, was quite useful for me to point out not only my practical worldly sort of shortcomings, but also helped me to see the clinging, grasping at me, at I, the I that doesn't want to be criticized, doesn't want to be shown up in any way. So that if we are willing for that to happen in our life, then I would say we are properly preparing to go beyond. There are some other questions I would like to put to you. There are some questions which can be put so we can test, in a sense, we can test or gauge how well we are doing in this practice. One, which is a very simple one and quite powerful, is how often are you able to accept it when people don't thank you? When you feel you deserve thanks and people don't thank you. I don't mean small things like passing the salt and the person doesn't thank you. That's also a cultural thing. It's difficult though if you've lived in the West a long time and you come to India and if people don't thank you for small things very often, it's not part of the culture. It's not considered necessary. Whereas in the West, often, thank you and thank you and thank you, just kind of automatic. So, but in larger affairs, say you've been doing something which you feel deserves thanks and you don't get thanks, how do you feel? How do you feel? So one of the Dharma slogans of the mind training tradition is don't expect thanks. Don't expect thanks. If you're thanked, fine. If you're not thanked, that's also fine. Of course, if people don't thank us, that becomes fuel for a lot of gupshup, that chit-chat we can engage in with our friends. Oh, this, I did all this for that person and they didn't thank me. Becomes quite a talking point where of course, you are then wanting people to agree with you and say, yeah, this is terrible. They really should have thanked you. And then you feel, yes, thank goodness someone understands how unreasonable that other person was for not thanking me. So I'm not saying that other people's rude behavior is good for them, but it's good for us. It's good for our ego. If we are serious about practicing bodhisattva activity, we need our ego to be crushed very dramatically, very forcefully. Why? because that self-grasping is the cause of all of our suffering. So long as we have that, we will never have lasting happiness, let alone attain nirvana or enlightenment. We have to let go. Here's another question for you. How do you feel when you, I had this experience recently. I was in a restaurant and there were a whole bunch of people there, many of whom I knew, and they all sat down together at one table, and they didn't invite me to the table. Later I thought, well, maybe they didn't see me. It was a restaurant. There were other people there, but they didn't invite me to the table. And then you engage in this talk with yourself. Oh, well, you should have let them know you were there. For sure, they would have invited you, if they knew you were there. But part of the mind likes to play also being the martyr, the poor person who has been neglected. So how often does that happen, where you feel left out? People didn't invite you somewhere, other people went, you weren't invited, you were left out. And it's not as though people are deliberately doing this to us, but we want to be included. Oh, why didn't you invite me to that occasion, and you feel bereft, you feel left out, you feel sorry for yourself. So if this happens, and if we feel that way, then again, it's a good reminder that we have not yet developed the courage, the self-sufficiency, the contentment, and the letting go of uptightness that is necessary to engage authentically in any kind of Mahayana activity, any kind of just to be a functioning, happy human being. We need to let go of this kind of upset that we can feel. So these are some basic matters, occasions that can happen to us. There could be many more, but these are two ones that may come up a lot. Not being thanked, not being invited to be a part of, the big occasion or the show or just the dinner or the thing. And then we can get upset, even angry, begin to feel, sorry for oneself. So the Bodhisattva attitude is completely opposite to that. The Bodhisattva attitude would be, how wonderful that these people are able to sit together and have a good meal and talk and laughs. And that's good, how one can feel happy for them, rejoice for their, having a good meal together and not feel upset, to feel, oh, well, after all, Buddha said, you're born alone, you basically live alone, you're going to die alone. Just, grow up, in a sense. Be responsible for your own happiness. Don't make your own happiness responsible on other people making you happy all the time in what they do by thanking you and inviting you to all the occasions and blah, 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 So this I find very useful for me. You have to check in your life what is useful for you. What are the occasions that happen to you where you feel upset, left out, that people didn't, acknowledge you sufficiently. So we can let go of that and be relaxed about those things as much as we can. But it's not easy. It's not easy. And we can have a grudge against the world that this is not right, that is not right. Why isn't things, why aren't things better? So this is very good. Things will happen again and again in our life that test us. If we think, we're really somebody now who is practicing well, these small things can remind us that there's still some work to be done on letting go of this strong sense of I and me. And I, me, mine. That is what is causing all of our problems. Fixation to that, not being able to let go. What, on the other side, could we do to make ourselves more affectionate, more warm and open and caring for others and care more for others? One very useful meditation with Jeffrey Hopkins, I've mentioned this before, we looked at it quite a bit during the COVID time. Remember COVID? We had a lot of sessions online. It was the only time we didn't meet each other in those days. It was all online. So there's the reflection there is from one of the very early but essential meditations on the you could say the compassion side, based on this very simple, powerful expression, which His Holiness used a lot in the early days of his teachings, where he would often start, apparently, his talks with reminding people that everybody wants happiness, nobody wants to suffer. So then, based on that, we can see how I want to be happy. I really want to be happy. And the feeling of that is so strong. And I don't want to suffer. I don't want to suffer at all. Any kind, not even the slightest discomfort. Like the discomfort I'm feeling now. Being slightly, is it cold in here? Or is it just me? Is it just me? Huh? But are other people feeling hot? Are you okay if we turn it down a little bit? Yeah, it's okay. Okay, no? It's good cold tiles. Yes, the tiles are cool, aren't they? So the slightest, what was I saying? The slightest discomfort one doesn't want. So just as I want to be happy and comfortable and not have too much sense of being cold, so that's the same with everybody else. Everybody else wants to be free of discomfort. They want happiness of any kind. Everybody. So then the masterstroke here, you could say, which Jeffrey Hopkins then employs, which of course, masterstroke meaning it's the masterstroke of the tradition. So then everybody we meet, we can have a continuous meditation going on during the day if we were mindful enough. Everyone we meet, not just our friends and family, but we can say, oh, here's someone, this person in front of me. They want to be happy. They don't want suffering, just like me. Whoever. Then you walk, you walk to Tushita, so you pass several chokidars sitting in front of the houses or in the little booths. Some look quite miserable, poor things. I mean, there's one guy, I think, from South India, from Andhra, and I don't think he ever gets a chance to go home to his family. And he just looks kind of so sad and kind of upset a lot of the time. Just a sadness, because he just has to sit all day. He doesn't have he doesn't read, or, he doesn't have time to play cards or this or that. He's always having to be alert and see who's coming and going. Then you have to think, this person, he wants to be happy. He doesn't want to suffer. This person, just like me, just like my best friend. I'm concerned about my best friend's happiness, right? And my best friend's suffering. So just like that, this person doesn't want to be unhappy. They want to have pleasure. They want to have happy, pleasurable sensations. They want happiness in their life. So everybody, we could apply that to everybody, because it's true of everybody, including the person who is, Zomato person on the motorcycle who almost knocks you over because he's cutting a corner to quickly get to his destination to deliver his goods. That person wants to be happy, doesn't want to suffer. He doesn't want to suffer the person he's giving the delivery to be angry for coming late. He wants to be happy. He wants to, not be scolded. He wants to be free of suffering. It's not just the people who are obviously suffering in hospitals and elsewhere who want to be, free of their suffering. Everybody. So everybody one meets. You go into a hotel, the people at reception don't want to suffer. That person wants to be happy. The obviously very rich person coming in with maybe entourage, lots of suitcases, maybe a sheikh from the Middle East who's come to Max for treatment, that person wants to be happy, doesn't want to suffer. The person begging in the street also wants to be happy, doesn't want to suffer. It's a person who's trying to overcharge you or is, whatever, the shopkeeper, whoever, that person wants to be happy, doesn't want to suffer. I think if we were to maintain this kind of meditation occasionally, we would feel differently towards others. So long as we based it first on our own experience of how I myself really want to be happy. I deserve happiness. I want to be happy. I don't want to suffer. It can't just be, oh, I'm doing this for others. I don't care about myself. Not like that. We do have to care for ourselves. I want to be happy. I don't want to suffer. So that's very important, that kind of kindness towards oneself and spreading it and seeing how it is true for every single being in the universe, according to Buddha, as far as I know. I don't think there would be universes where there are beings that want to be unhappy. What for them is unhappiness. Of course, your happiness is not necessarily mine. If you're from Andhra Pradesh, you love raw mangoes laced with red chili. That for you is happiness. That for me is deep suffering. So, according to what you like, what makes you happy, you want it. You don't want to suffer. Isn't this true? So I think if we were to engage in that, it could help. It could help us to generate a more relaxed mind and a mind that cares. The other thing, of course, that I wanted to bring up, since we have some friends here, one particular friend online, and many people who might think, and other people there may be, who think that to practice Dharma, to be a good Buddhist, or I always have to be reading, one should always be reading Buddhist literature. That's not the case. I came across this book day before yesterday in Kathmandu, in an interesting alternative kind of bookshop, as I was beginning to walk back to the monastery. I didn't walk for long because I also got a motorbike to get back. You can hire a motorbike, someone takes you on their motorbike. But while I was walking, I passed this. That's one of the joys of walking. You actually see the shops. So I saw this shop and went in, and it's very difficult for me to not look at or often to buy a book if I see lots of books. And there were a lot of books in this shop, alternative shop, second-hand as well as. Anyway, I bought this one by Aldous Huxley, which I hadn't even heard of. Time Must Have a Stop. And just on the third page, there was a very powerful section where he's talking of this young man who is quite a sensitive, very intelligent, bright young man. And so there's just a short paragraph where he begins to feel this suffering, the suffering of the world, in the context of, everyone wanting to be happy, not wanting to suffer. Millions and millions, he whispered to himself. The enormity of the evil seemed to grow with every repetition of the word. All over the world, millions of men and women lying in pain, millions dying at this very moment, millions more grieving over them, their faces distorted like that poor old hag's, the tears running down their cheeks, millions starving, millions frightened and sick and anxious, millions being cursed and kicked and beaten by other brutal millions, and everywhere the stink of garbage and drink and unwashed bodies, everywhere the blight of stupidity and ugliness. The horror was always there, even when one happened to be feeling well and happy, always there, just round the corner, behind almost every door. As he walked down Haverstock Hill, this is in North London, Sebastian felt himself overcome by a vast, impersonal sadness. Nothing else seemed to exist now, or to matter, except death and agony. And then that phrase of Keats came back to him, the giant agony of the world, the giant agony. So, yeah, that Aldous Huxley, of course, was a very extraordinary writer. He wrote Brave New World and other famous books. So this suffering, this pain, which is there, and nobody wants it. I don't want it, you don't want it, nobody wants it. Everyone wants to be happy. So just that, again and again, familiarizing ourselves with that. Some people don't need familiarizing so much. It comes to them more naturally. Some of us need to be, to think about it more. This can help us be less concerned with just me and my best friends, to hell with the rest. Who cares? It's their problem. So to give up that very small attitude, small mind, open up the mind towards the pain of others, that seems something we can engage in. One of the things that's repeated again and again in the teachings is to practice. One of the core practices of the Dharma is to watch our own mind all the time. So this is one way to keep our mind regularly occupied with something that could be beneficial, help us to generate that sense of communion, oneness with others. Everyone one meets wants happiness. And then you can go into the details of that person's life, what it must be like for that person, and see how they have so much dissatisfaction, pain. If it's a chokidar, whoever it is, anybody you see, use your imagination to see what that person's life must be and how they would like to be happy, just like one is happy, wants to be happy, and the kind of things that make me happy. So that person has things, circumstances that make that person happy. Yeah, I think this can be quite useful, to say the least, this kind of reflection. That's all I wanted to really put forward today. There'll be other occasions. We can have some discussions since we still have some time. And my auntie won't be worried yet, and nobody here looks to be too sleepy. We can have some discussion. May I bite into half a biscuit, since I want to be happy, and I'm quite shameless about eating while teaching. You can also eat. If you need something, please take. Online people, if you're not already, please have something to eat or drink. Minoti ji, yeah, you look very comfortable. I hope you have something to eat or drink by your table. So whoever wants something, please, and we can have some discussion. This will be good. I don't feel like talking much more. Good biscuits at Tushita now.
Yeah,
कौन ले
definitely.
आए?
I'm not sure who got this. This, I think. Oh, you did? Okay.
Rishad bhai,
We had a great
धन्यवाद.
variety recently.
This is making me happy. No, seriously, if you want something, have. फिर आराम से we can have some. Or people online. Sorry, I've been neglecting you. Any question from anyone? Anything you want to mention? Any quotes from literature or poetry that for you are reminding us of the pain of samsara, the need for great compassion towards our fellow beings? No?
Yeah, I have a question to ask you, Kabir Ji.
Who are you?
This is Sandeep.
I'm not going to answer unless you show your face.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's right. But my
Oh,
life.
there you are. ठीक है.
That's right. Hi. How are you?
Good. Good, sir.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, sir. Hi, sir. I have a question to ask you that we have compassion of a lot, but if you are only everyone is kind to you, of course, kind and nice. But if you're meeting someone and everybody has a vested interest to do something, like you do so much of effort to teach, and if people don't reciprocate your kindness, so how you have to train yourself to like you said, a bodhisattva would be fine, and if you are just giving and you don't get, if anybody and everybody is getting in touch with you for a cause, whether it's a family, whether it's friends, like you said, and you feel that nobody loves you and everybody needs something from you, so how do you manage that? You just say, I'm alone, I was born alone, I'll go alone. And if they're nice to you but they need something from you, and you give, and you just say, okay, that's part of life, that's part of life.
I think what you're trying to say is uh, you've had the experience of giving a lot to others in certain ways, and you feel you're not you're not receiving any, there's no reciprocation, yeah? You're not receiving the love of others or the affection of others. Is this what you're saying? How to
Yeah.
cope with that?
Yes, exactly. You feel that there is no affection and it's all materialistic. It's all materialistic. Everybody needs something from you, but you're not getting it back. But maybe it's part of your old karma. It's not.
Yeah, well, that's one way to look at it.
Yeah, look at
It's
it.
one way to look at it. Can you, something that might be useful for some people sometimes is to reflect on one person at least, or someone who at some point has given them kindness and affection and attention in the life, and the fact that somebody really must have cared for us. If we're still alive today, somebody must have cared for us quite
Yeah,
a lot when we were helpless, right? When we were just born,
yeah, of course.
somebody
Of
must
course.
have cared for us.
Our
Otherwise, we'd
parents-
be dead, right?
Yes, Kabir Ji,
So,
sorry to interrupt you. Our parents and grandparents have given us unconditional love. That's 100% sure. And you know
well,
that. We know that. They've given us. They've taken nothing from us. They've only given us. But if in today's life you are only meeting or seeing people who have a materialistic interest,
okay. So for them, you feel concern, you feel compassion for them. How sad that they are caught up in the eight worldly feelings
yes,
of only thinking about gain and
that's
pleasure
correct.
and
Yes.
money, and
Yes.
how that is something which you know through your intelligence is not going to make them lastingly happy, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
you don't need to get caught up in their neurosis. You have
In
the
disappointment.
intelligence
Yeah, because you
to
feel
know that is something sad. So you feel, you can feel for them, right?
correct. Feel for them.
So what else are you trying to say? I'm not quite sure where you're getting at.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Because you feel for them that they are caught in that materialistic life and not have pity for your own self. Hannah, that's right. Rather feel that you are lucky to get this experience, that you're meeting and you're understanding that how caught they are in the materialistic world. And
okay. I get the sense that you're also, talking of low self-esteem, self-pity in oneself, which of course many of us suffer from or have suffered from. So the antidote to that, of course, is reflecting more on what we do have, on this precious human opportunity, and of realizing that just feeling sorry for ourselves is just something which is a waste of time. We should concentrate on what we have, on our abilities. And of course, Dharma practice is designed to help us develop more and more spiritual momentum, rather than just, wasting our time with thoughts about our own deficiencies or not being good enough or not being loved enough and blah, blah, blah. That can go on and on and on, as we know. Well, at least I know, because it has happened to me on occasions. But we should focus on, as Rinpoche says, the self-cherishing attitude is a cause of constant suffering. The moment, he said, the moment you change your object of concern from yourself to others, it's like, becoming free. When you begin to think more about others, what do they need? What can I do for them? When one sincerely begins to do that, given, of course, other things have to be equal. You have to have enough to eat and sleep, and you need a place to live. It's not like we're saying you can do it in all circumstances, but you need some basis. then we can think about others. Then
Yeah.
immediately it takes that uptightness out of our mind, which is always thinking about poor me. I don't have this, I don't have that. People don't thank me. I care for them, I help them, but they're so caught up with their lives, their jobs, their money, their pleasure that they don't see what I'm doing for them. They don't appreciate me, blah, blah, blah. We can let go of that.
Yeah.
What is going to happen? People are
Yeah.
sick, right? This is a basic Dharma principle. We are all sick, right? Some people are sicker than others with the delusions, right? So
Yeah.
you can't expect them to behave in any other way. A sick person is going to behave like a sick person. Someone
And
who is insane is going to behave like an insane person. So you could say, if you go to a mental institution, the people there are going to behave in a certain way. We shouldn't expect anything else. But we can develop a softness and a warmth towards them, even though we might not be able to help them much.
Right.
Yeah.
And Kabir Ji,
Okay.
I always say that our connection is with God. So God knows what we are and God knows our heart. We don't have to get validation from anyone. Validation is given by God. That's what we should say somewhat.
If that helps you, yeah, I don't believe in that kind of God, but if you do, then it helps you, then very good. That's what you should think. Whatever helps you, you can do that way. I don't think in those terms, but I think, when certain principles one may have and a certain sense that there is the Buddha nature within, and one is doing what one can to nurture the Buddha nature, which is the inner sort of goodness, the basic goodness I feel we all have, and which Buddha speaks a lot about in the Mahayana teachings. So that is, good enough for me. I don't need to think about an external God. You could say that the inner God, if you like,
Anji.
the inner guru.
Right.
The teachings speak about a lot, how we need to cultivate the inner guru. The outer guru is simply someone who reminds us to get in touch with the inner guru. And the inner guru is someone who is basically sleeping until we get rid of this powerful I, me, mine attitude all the time. With that attitude, we cannot access the wisdom and intelligence and spaciousness and love of the inner, which we all possess, according to Lord Buddha, and which I feel we do experience on many an occasion. But as His Holiness also has said in respect of his Christian friends and other friends, he says, yeah, he's very impressed by many of them. And if the belief in God is helping them to be a happier and better human being, then that's wonderful. He's not going to interfere with other people's religious beliefs,
Yes. And the thing that you said that
last thing, then someone else can get a chance. Yeah. Bolo.
Anji.
बोलिए. Yeah.
और किसी ने मुझे एक लास्ट चीज पूछनी थी कि अगर ऐसा भी है तो हर इंसान जो आपको मिल रहा है ह्यूमन बीइंग वो आपको कुछ सिखा रहा है तो आप उसको धन्यवाद करो है ना कि वो सिखा रहा है
बिल्कुल
राइट सर
then you'll be happier now that you have then generated a positive experience from what for most people would be an unpleasant or negative experience. You've extracted something really positive from that through transforming the way you think about it. So then that's something very useful for you spiritually. And that you won't be disheartened or upset by someone who has behaved badly. In fact, it will have helped you understand, more how much people are suffering from their negative minds. And then you will hopefully pray to God for them, that may they be released from their negative mind.
This self-cherishing, this self-grasping attitude. That's right.
Yes.
I thank you so much. I'm
thank
you. I'm free in the mind. I'm totally different.
It's nice to see you again, and I hope we'll meet in person again soon. Yeah.
Very soon, sir.
You're still in Gurgaon, are you?
In yes.
Yeah. Good. Anyone else here or there? It's 8 o'clock. Auntie won't be too worried yet. You can see how I have this. I'm tormented by the image of my auntie waiting for me. I'm joking. It's not that bad. And I told her I could be a little late. So who else would like to mention something?
Yes.
Ji.
This is actually in continuation with the discussion we were having with Venerable Sutrim a few days back.
With whom?
With Venerable Sutrim.
Uh-huh.
And we were actually discussing the 8 worldly dharmas.
Right.
And I just had a question pop up regarding them, which I'd like to get your thoughts on.
Sutrimji wasn't able to answer?
She was absolutely. But I feel like it's just...
You want to compare the answers, huh? हाँ ठीक है, like second opinion जो लेते हैं ना डॉक्टर से, ठीक है.
Yes, but I just found I've been thinking more about it since she helped me sort of unpack it.
Right.
So in relation to especially loss and gain and pleasure and pain, praise and blame, there's a tendency that I find. The example that I gave to her was that if I lose an object, misplace a certain object, and if it has some sentimental value to me, then I will immediately think that this is a clear sense of pain that I'm getting because of a certain kind of loss. And I do immediately think that this is happening because my mind is caught up in the 8 worldly dharmas, and I shouldn't be attaching so much relevance to objects which are inherently empty. So
inherently empty?
Inherently not important, or not really.
Well, we wouldn't say inherently empty, but anyway,
yes,
which are empty, yeah.
Yes, so basically not don't have that much value that
Exactly.
I'm placing on them.
Right.
And so I tend to go into this spiral of beating myself up a little bit for thinking, for falling into the trap of the 8 worldly dharmas.
Yes.
So I feel like that sort of diminishes the sense of compassion for myself, and I'm wondering how in the heat of the moment, how to get out of it. But after a few days, or after a little contemplation, I'm able to, of course, naturally come out of it and see it more clearly. But in that moment, I sort of go into that downward spiral at times of thinking that, oh, it's the 8 worldly dharmas are attacking again, and it starts something. So I'm wondering how that how to navigate that.
Well, I suppose one way to answer that would be that, and this is something I suffer from as well, don't you think that a lot of these problems come from just overthinking about things? We can't stop thinking about things.
Absolutely.
We just can't let go. We're so used to conceptualizing all the time and questioning and criticizing ourselves and others inwardly in our thoughts. It's just very hard to stop that continuous chatter, It's like, yeah, it's like, this inner subconscious gossip which keeps on going on. And it's just not enough for us to use some logic or Dharma principle and apply that. We have to keep on, thinking about it. So how can we let go? Do you think it's a question of just more practice? A question of taking a few deep breaths, breathing out, letting go, and relaxing the body and mind through some effort? Will that help? Because otherwise we just keep on, torturing ourselves with a thought about it, with a concept about what's happened. We can't let go of it in our head. We keep on thinking. Can we let go or a little bit of that unwholesome thinking process? I mean, if you lose something, it can be very annoying to misplace something even, let alone lose it, right? But then we just don't know how to let go. We always fixate, we fixate, we get stuck. And of course, we could also say that the reason we get stuck is we see that object or problem as something existing from its own side, something very solid and inherent, which is a real problem, not just a temporary problem, an impermanent problem, a problem that is created mainly by my fixation We don't see that. We see the real problem out there. Don't we? We see some real problem there. We don't see our own mind's participation in that. And the fact that we've exaggerated it. You know, attachment. I mean, remember the definition of attachment. It's a mistaken mind that exaggerates the importance, the likable, pleasurable quality of an object or person, and wants to hold on to it, wants to possess it. So there's this. The mind is so sticky. It's like it gets stuck on things, internally and externally. I find there are thoughts which can be there which just don't go away, and one keeps on repeating them. And the same with outer objects. One keeps on grasping at them.
The issue is sometimes not the actions of others, but our reaction
Yes.
to those actions.
Yeah, exactly. Our reactions are so. Sometimes they are so predictable. It's very predictable. Yeah.
Yes, it does definitely helps to sort of change that perspective and reframe it into the problem being the attachment and the grasping in the first place. But I mean, when I apply certain teachings to situations, I feel like I've fallen the trap of basically taking them too seriously.
Oh,
Getting messages.
I don't know if you can hear all this online.
Wow.
Can you hear
Is it on now?
what Apurva has been saying?
Oh, it's on now. Yes.
Okay.
You didn't hear any of that? Oh dear.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll try and rephrase a little bit.
Yeah, you can repeat it again. That could be good. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So my question was, if I think about the 8 worldly dharmas in the context of having lost something, misplaced an object, or engaged in some kind of attachment to praise, or any of the positive negative side of the 8 worldly dharmas, then I tend to sometimes overthink and blame myself for falling into the trap of the 8 worldly dharmas. So that blaming oneself sort of perpetuates and compounds the problem as opposed to simplifying it, which is a tendency of my overthinking, as Kabir Ji also pointed out. So the one thing that helped in that context was that to just think of the teachings in a slightly more lighter and humorous way almost, and to not think of this as, oh, this is something I've learned so many years back, how have I not applied it till now, as opposed to thinking in that pattern. Like Venerable Sultrim gave a very interesting example of how the 8 worldly dharmas are like little monsters in your head. So to just think that, oh, the little monster has popped up again, and to not think that, oh, this is a giant trap which I'm again going to fall into, but just to think that, okay, this is something I can tackle. It's a little monster, I'm familiar with it, and I can sort of move past it and let it go, essentially. So I think that
that's very useful. It sounds
thinking
like,
can help. Yes.
One person who had done quite a lot of retreat in Nepal, she also said she gave names to the different monsters in her mind, and that helped to diffuse them and brought some humor to it as well. She had interesting little names for her monsters. Yeah. Basically, we take things too seriously in one way. Fixation is taking things too seriously. Until we have realization of emptiness, I suppose we'll always take things to be more serious than they are, or more solid than they are, more real than they actually are. And so we will suffer as a result, because it's almost like we're always, reality for us is something so solid, we're always bashing our heads against it. It's not a spacious, movement. It's always like this. So we'll always have problems that way. It's like banging our head against the wall. We open the window for the fly, but the fly insists on banging its head against the window that is still closed. It just doesn't seem to have the intelligence to go out of the open window. it's a bit like that with our minds. We're used to torturing ourselves. It's just an ancient habit, which one maybe a big reason why we haven't woken up yet. We're very unkind that way. Finding things to be too solid makes us very unkind to ourselves. So we keep on perpetuating the problem. What else, folks? I have maybe another 5-6 minutes before things go into the red zone, the urgent zone. Although, I mean, our family, I don't think it's too much to reveal this family secret. Many of us have, in our family, have said on quite a few occasions that we don't get very hungry. It's not like we have to eat, that we're so hungry, but like, eating is a habit, so we eat 3 times a day. We eat, but it's not like we're starving or anything is going to happen if we don't eat. But yeah, it depends, doesn't it? We could be having a condition where we have to eat 3 times a day, or else blood sugar goes into chaos. What else? What else, folks? Nandita. Oh, Nandita's there as well. Very nice. How are you, Isar? Any reflections? You have a T-shirt which says "sensation." So, are you a sensationalist?
I think it's more about the sensation of breathing. It's a reminder to be mindful during the day.
It's a Theravada T-shirt.
It's a yeah, it's got the colors, the Theravada colors. But yeah, all good, Kabir Ji. Good to have you back in the center, although online.
Well, just for one evening. Yeah.
Just for one evening. And hope we missed each other at Kopan by one day. I think I left the day you got in, but hope it was nice for you to be there, be back at Kopan, be with everyone.
It was wonderful. Yeah. Spiritual home. Yeah. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, it was pretty amazing. The place. I was just always amazed by how efficient and smooth running it is. How all those monks and then the nuns also work so well to get things done. It's just very, very commendable. And it seems a very harmonious environment as well, of course. Very beautiful, very harmonious, except Kathmandu is more polluted than I'd ever seen it. You couldn't see the hills around Kathmandu for 5 days. They were completely shrouded in pollution, and only when it rained did they become visible a little bit more yesterday. The day before, it was really quite upsetting to see the pollution. But it's still a wonderful place, very wonderful. Yeah. Okay, so let's stop there. Some food for thought has been provided for us. Now we should dedicate very sincerely and strongly. So bring to mind people you know who need help. They're lonely or sick or have terminal illness and are dying, or they're very frustrated with their lives, or in just some very difficult situation for one reason or another, are living in an environment of anger, or whatever. So whoever you know who is suffering, please bring them to mind and think how wonderful it would be if they were free of their suffering and could experience the peace of a calm, clear, spacious mind. May the conditions arise for them to be happy. May those of us who are attempting to practice, may our minds be clear and calm, spacious. May we never give up, but maintain our practice. May we not forget the sentient beings ever, the sentient beings who want to be happy, don't want to suffer. May we be mindful of that as much as we can. It's easy to forget. Can be easy to forget. So may the teachers who are helping us, and the great teachers who are there in the world, have long and healthy lives. May their wishes for us be fulfilled. Where there is war and famine and great ecological disaster and disease, starvation, where there is misunderstanding and disharmony among people, may all these situations be alleviated. May, may beings live in harmony together as much as possible. Our own life, in terms of our own life, may it be meaningful for others. Like the Bodhisattvas, we can think, we can pray sometimes that whatever situation we are in with others, whatever kind of situation, may it be beneficial for others. So that just by thinking of us or seeing us or hearing us or talking to us or liking us or not liking us, may it work to their advantage. May it make them, bring them closer to enlightenment. And of course, for us, may we use every situation as a way to develop more and more Dharma understanding and Dharma strength. Yeah. So that we never become discouraged by difficult circumstances. On the contrary, be strengthened by them, which is essential practice in this world where there are so many difficulties and problems. May everything only help us to arise compassion and to see the emptiness of situations, how nothing is solid and permanent and independent from its own side. Everything is due to causes and conditions. There's a dependent arising and also depending on how we label it with our minds. So may we see the truth of dependent arising and emptiness. And combining it with understanding of compassion, may we use these two wings to progress further towards waking up. Finally, may Tushita Center be very successful in helping people meet the Dharma. May it be a very kind, friendly, useful center for others, just as Rinpoche wished. And may this be true of all the centers as well. And due to our working harmoniously together, may it create the cause for Rinpoche's reincarnation to be quickly recognized and to be brought up and educated in a way that is helps that Rinpoche to again be most beneficial for others. Please spend some time generating your own dedication for people you care for, situations that have moved you to want to help. Okay, thank you very much, everyone here, everyone online. Thank you. And thank you, everyone, for whoever's helping Tushita to keep the center running in often not easy circumstances. May all of you be happy and healthy and have long and healthy lives and not get bored during teachings. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kabir Ji, for the amazing teachings. And this is just a small offering from us at Tushita. If you would accept.
I'll accept, and then please use it for delicious biscuits and things like that for the center, whatever you need.
Thank you so much, Kabir
Yeah.
Ji. And thank you everyone in person and online for joining us today. And we hope to see you again soon. We have another session with the Venerable Samtin on this Friday. And
What's she teaching on?
she's continuing the 4 essential thoughts.
Wonderful. How far has she got?
She has gotten now to number 3, I believe. She's sort of in the middle of 3 and 4. So now we'll be
3 is karma or sufferings of samsara?
suffering of samsara, yes. So we're continuing with that one, and I think she might be culminating it in the coming session now. And we also have 2 sessions towards the end of the month with Geshe Zopa and yes,
Geshe Zopa.
yes, and
great.
yes, and we also have another Geshe coming towards the end of this month. So we have a bunch of activities planned for which everyone's very excited. So
what's Geshe Zopa teaching on?
I don't think the topic is finalized yet. I'm not too sure about
that's
the topic.
very good.
Yes.
He's a wonderful person, wonderful teacher.
Yeah, excited to hear from him. Yes. Okay, thank you everyone, and everyone online as well.
Thank you, Apurvaji. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Good night.